This is ABC 15 Mornings.
Right now at 7, our in-depth coverage continues on this big story this morning. The DPS trooper who shot and killed Deon Johnson on a Valley freeway back on Memorial Day will not face criminal charges. New this morning, we're hearing from the family's attorney following this big decision.
Absolutely, it's a one-sided case. Trooper Cervantes did have a choice.
Plus, a community on edge, Louisville, Kentucky, under a state of emergency right now as everybody awaits the grand jury's decision on whether to charge 3 police officers in connection to the death of Breonna Taylor.
And your voice, your vote, 42 days until Election Day, and today is National Voter Registration Day. The importance of this year's election already showing as Maricopa County is close to breaking records.
That's how we learned a lot about Mexico, and that's where we learned more about costuming.
All new at 7, the history of the dress. As we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, we are taking a closer look there at the customs and traditions of Ballet Folklorico and one woman's mission to pass on the history and keep the culture alive. A lot to get to on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for waking up with us here on ABC 15 Mornings on CW 61 Arizona. I'm Allison Rodriguez.
And I'm Nick Saletti in for Justin Pizzera today. Great to see you as always, Allison. A lot to cover this morning, but we want to begin with our big story.
And while this is a tragic outcome, criminal charges against the trooper are not warranted.
Because deep down in my heart, I knew that they wasn't going to charge him for my son's murder.
A mother's heartbreak this morning and a cry for justice. No charges in the shooting death of Deon Johnson from back on Memorial Day.
Monday's decision sparking a protest in downtown Phoenix. So we're going to begin our coverage right now with ABC 15. Zach Crenshaw hearing from both sides this morning.
There's no body or dash camera of Deon Johnson's final moments. The 28-year-old was shot and killed Memorial Day morning. And Monday, County Attorney Alistair Adele declining to press charges against the trooper who shot him.
Justice for Deon! Justice for Deon!
His name has become a rallying cry.
No justice, no peace.
Justice, though, depends on who you ask.
A prosecutor must believe that there is a reasonable likelihood of conviction at trial.
County Attorney Alistair Adele didn't think a jury would find Trooper George Cervantes guilty of shooting and killing Deon Johnson.
He smelled a strong odor of alcohol.
Memorial Day morning, hours before George Floyd was killed by police, Deon was passed out in a car by an on-ramp. The convicted felon had a gun in the passenger seat.
Trooper Cervantes reached into the vehicle, removed the gun.
When the trooper thought Deon was waking up, he rushed to the driver's side door.
Fearing for his life, the trooper drew his firearm.
He put his body on a lane of the highway.
Mr. Johnson grabbed the trooper's vest with one hand.
It's a one-sided story.
And used his other hand to grab and reach for the gun.
Deon wasn't a threat anymore.
So he fired his weapon twice.
There's no body-worn camera. There's no dash camera.
Deon's family attorney, Jaquise Blackwell.
The county attorney's office should not be that court of law.
Adele mentioned witnesses observing the fight. Blackwell pointed to Cervantes' disciplinary file.
George Cervantes had over 13 complaints in his file.
One suspension coming after Cervantes admitted to using his DPS-issued taser on his puppy.
How did you factor in his disciplinary file?
So we did not receive an official disciplinary file from the Department of Public Safety, but his past, along with the decedent's past, were not taken into consideration at all.
A dog is worth a taser, but a black man needs a gun.
George Cervantes is a monster.
And not to consider George Cervantes' background doesn't make any sense. Now, Deon's family still plans on filing a civil lawsuit. Trooper Cervantes, meanwhile, on administrative leave while DPS continues their internal investigation. The one thing both sides agree on, they want to see DPS troopers equipped with body-worn cameras in the future. Zach Crenshaw, ABC 15, Arizona.
Meantime, Johnson's family telling ABC 15 they still plan on filing a civil suit against the department. Earlier this morning, we spoke with the family's attorney, Jaquise Blackwell. He tells us he doesn't believe that the trooper was acting in self-defense like the state's county attorney said.
Trooper Cervantes did have a choice. One of the things that he stated in the police report was that he had removed the gun. If there was a gun, he removed the gun and put it in his saddlebag on his patrol motorcycle. And so the gun wasn't part of the equation when Cervantes went back to the vehicle. So when he goes back to the vehicle, Dion Johnson's unarmed. Cervantes put himself in that situation. Cervantes didn't have to go on the driver's side of the vehicle to try to get Mr. Dion Johnson out of the vehicle. He could have went to the passenger side. Cervantes puts himself in harm's way.
Blackwell went on to say that the trooper's statement that Johnson was kicking at him only came from the trooper's statement and not from witnesses. And as we reported, there were no body camera videos or dash cam videos of the incident. You want to stick with ABC 15 Mornings on CW61 Arizona as we continue to follow this story and dig deeper here. Coming up at 8 o'clock, we're going to hear more from Maricopa County Attorney Alistair Adele and her opponent in the upcoming election.
Now to Louisville, Kentucky, where a grand jury could decide to indict the police officers who shot and killed Breonna Taylor last spring. The federal courthouse building in Louisville has been boarded up, and the police department is issuing a state of emergency, anticipating the decision could create some backlash once it's announced. Breonna Taylor was shot and killed by police back in March after they served a no-knock warrant in a drug investigation. All three of those officers have not been arrested. Two are still on the force, and a third was fired by the department. Breonna's death sparking worldwide outrage as people demand justice. Stick with ABC 15 on air and online. We will bring you that grand jury's decision and all the latest developments from Kentucky as soon as they come in.
Time is now 7:06. Let's get to your 5 things you need to know on this Tuesday. The United States is expected to pass the 200,000 mark in coronavirus deaths sometime in the next few days. Now, despite growing cases in nearly a dozen states, the Trump administration says we have the upper hand now.
On the job itself, we take an A+.
Medical experts have repeatedly disagreed with these assessments. The United States accounts for 4% of the world's population, but has about 21% of all coronavirus fatalities. That's the most in the world.
Well, today, President Donald Trump will speak at the United Nations Virtual General Assembly. We're learning part of his message will address China and its role in the coronavirus. This is the first virtual meeting of the world leaders who typically meet in New York City once a year. Today's speeches are pre-recorded. China's president will also speak along with the presidents of Brazil and Russia. All new this morning, the CDC is encouraging people to stay away from most of the fun activities connected to Halloween. So they recommend no trick-or-treating, no costume masks, no indoor costume parties or haunted houses. And you probably guessed the health agency points to the pandemic as the reason why. They say all of those are high-risk activities.
Well, lights, camera, action. Hollywood unions, they've come to an agreement to resume film and TV production. For 6 months, sets have been far and few between, but new guidelines will allow them to all make a return. Cast and crew members will now have to be tested. Personal protective gear has to be used. There will also be a zone system in place, meaning interactions between people are going to be limited based on their job. There will also be a coronavirus supervisor on each set to oversee these guidelines.
NBA legend Michael Jordan is starting his own NASCAR racing team next year. His golf buddy and 3-time Daytona 500 winner Denny Hamlin will join him as a minority partner. Bubba Wallace, NASCAR's lone African-American driver, will be their team's driver. Jordan grew up as a stock car racing fan in North Carolina. He's from Wilmington. He welcomes the sport's first black majority owner since the 1970s.
Wow. So making history, MJ. All right, let's give you a live look outside right now. As you can see, we have meteorologist Iris Hermosillo joining us now. Iris, I believe this is a look near South Mountain. Look at all those clouds out there. Are we seeing any sprinkles?
Yeah, we're tracking some rain in parts of the valley on this first day of fall. Before I get to Desert Doppler radar, though, I want to show you our temperatures because we certainly aren't feeling like we are here kicking off the fall season, right? Our temperature right now is at 87 degrees, but our low this morning has only gone as low as 84 degrees. And if we don't go any lower than 82, we will set a new record this morning for the warmest low temperature ever recorded on this day. And the reason we've been so warm is because of those clouds that Allison just pointed out here on our Valley Cam. And as you can see on satellite clouds and radar and Desert Doppler radar, you can see the clouds with some of that rain moving through. It's a little more than sprinkles this morning with some showers and even some thunderstorms getting in the mix, especially in the West Valley where we've seen some of those rumbles of thunder. Now those showers pushing over the Estrellas starting to work their way into the Southwest Valley, so plan on some areas of rain here for the rest of the morning commute. We'll talk about where temperatures end up this afternoon in just a few minutes.
Okay, Iris, thank you. Identity theft during the pandemic, and the target is our kids. Next on ABC 15 Mornings on CW 61 Arizona, what parents can do to keep their children from becoming a victim.
Plus, a suspect on the run after a tense situation with Phoenix police. Who police are looking for right now and how you can help out.
And later this hour, an education in tradition. A Valley woman sharing her story on how she began making her own dresses for folklorico dances and the lessons it taught her about her rich culture.
ABC 15 News, sponsored by